Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Lee, and we're talking with Gary from New York, who's stuttering from an early age to around a quarter of his words. And he, we've been chatting since maybe February of this year, and I had just asked him a minute ago um, what he does to avoid bad incidents. And I'm going to ask him that again because his answer was so good. I'd like him to put it on the record. What do you do to avoid bad incidents now?
What I do is I speak less, I link, and I stop. And when I speak less, I'm also talking about short phrases. And somehow, like short phrases and stopping are like connected. And then in the middle of that is the linking, which brings in either pronunciation or humming. And that's my go-to for stringing words together, as well as in a problem situation.
Yeah, and that's a perfect answer. When was your last bad incident? Can you remember? Defined as appearing clearly speech disabled. Can you remember?
Yeah, yeah, it was about a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
um, and it happened. I was speaking on the phone, and then my other phone rang, and I had to like hurry off of one phone onto
Right.
another. And in that split second, telling the person who I
Right.
was speaking to, I jammed up.
Okay. And what are you doing? And since then, you have been using, I'm going to call this your emergency, should we call it your emergency speech plan, or is it your pressure speech plan, or what would you like to
Well,
call it?
I know
Or your
last time
anti-panic plan? What do you,
it's the emergency speech plan,
okay,
ESP.
okay, uh,
Speak less, link, and
yeah.
well, speak less, hum, link, and stop.
Well, that's the best response that I've ever gotten to that question from anybody. And aren't you feeling now deep within your mind and heart that you can avoid any bad incident? Don't you feel that way?
Well, I don't feel it completely. And that brings me to the next thing. Wait. This brings me to the next thing, which is interesting. I've told you over, you know, that I've had many speech programs that I've gone through. I've also, over the many years, come up with my own tools that would work for a while and then it would just stop working. And so I've been through these experiences throughout my whole life. And interestingly, like a week and a half ago, or so, or 2 weeks ago, actually, because I didn't see you last week, it was the week before, um, I began to like start to have some problems. More, I've been doing pretty well since I started the program with you, and it's a little like the stock market, that keeps on going up, but there's a few dips and little, like this, but it keeps on getting better and better. I see my speech with you doing that, and
Are you still
that,
reading aloud every day?
yep. I'm doing
And
all
you're
the
doing your auto
things.
suggestion, your mind training twice a day?
Self hypnosis in the
Okay.
morning and,
All right.
and the evening. I'm doing
Because
all
if you
that.
stop those things, all bets are off.
Right. And I know that, and I've heard you say it numerous times, and that has stuck in my head.
Okay.
Um, I-
These are differences between this program and any program you've ever been on.
well, it's more eclectic. It's more like, I've had programs like Precision Fluency Shaping Program, which was good and fine, and it worked on breathing and stretch syllable and vibrational contour. And those are like similar things to your program. It's worded differently, but it's similar. The difference is with your program is that you bring in, the three-legged stool. You're talking about practicing speaking on an hour basis, reading to yourself. And the second thing, which is not in any of the other programs, are the mind training, which I never found in other programs. And then, of course, the 13
You never
crutches
found
that.
all those anywhere near all those crutches either.
Right, right. Yes, and that is true as well. So maybe some of these other speech programs had like three or four go-to things to do. You have 13, but really you have probably 20,
Yeah,
because
sure.
some of your things like crutch 8,
Yeah,
you know, has three things in it,
exactly.
pitch,
Exactly.
volume, and passion.
Right,
So
exactly.
anyway, so what I'm saying to you is that I've been through a lot of programs, either I've gone to or I somehow developed myself because I found something that worked. And
Yeah.
it worked for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden it stopped. So I've been doing really well since I've been seeing you, and yeah, it's
But you
getting
still
back.
have this history of relapsing.
Yeah, it's the relapsing, and it's not that I I go and think about it a lot, but every once in a while, it comes up.
But when it
So,
comes up, what do you tell yourself?
well, what I'm doing is I try to visualize positive stuff, that I'm speaking well, and I'm fluent and stuff
Do
like
you
that.
say the affirmations under your breath
And
or
I
in a
say,
whisper?
yeah, yeah, these are the affirmations and the
I love to speak, I
visualization.
love to say my name, etc. I
Right,
love to
right.
talk to groups, I love to be surprised by friends on the phone, etc.
Right. Yes. Yes. I have them down. So what I'm saying to you is that like a week and a half ago, all of a sudden, I start to have more problems. Like I wasn't as fluent as, say, I'm speaking to you right now.
That's
You
before you
know.
adopted the emergency speech plan.
Well, even afterwards, what I'm saying to you is that this, yeah, I try to do it. Yeah, I was trying to do the emergency plan, and even trying to do it, I'm
Well,
still
you
like,
didn't know it yet.
no, 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 I did, because we spoke about this the last time. I have it in my notes about the
Gary,
amount.
you're not doing the ESP right now, as you know, because you don't need it. You're totally fluent 95% of the time, and you don't give yourself any credit for it. When you need, I want you to speak to me now using your ESP. I want you to talk to me exclusively using the ESP. Show me that you know how to use it. Go ahead, continue what you were saying, but use the
So,
ESP.
okay, so less link and stop. All right. So this, I started to like get tighter when I was speaking, and even like kind of tripping up, but not to the degree that someone would say I'm speech disabled. They wouldn't, because it was kind of like speaking like other people speak,
You're
with
not using your
hesitancy.
ESP right now.
You don't think I'm speaking less and stopping and
You are
linking?
not stopping.
All right.
Your stops are too short. So you're
Okay.
not getting the benefit of stopping. To get
All
the
right.
benefit of stopping, you must stop. Probably a 1001, 1002 in your case because you're using 1001 or less.
Gotcha.
Therefore, you're not really stopping. And
Okay.
therefore, your pressure's continuing to build up, if there is any. It's
Well,
building.
what I'm saying is a week and a half ago it did, and it started to build up, and I was close to having real problems. And in my head, I said, I wonder if this is the relapse that I've had in the
You're
past.
anticipating a relapse.
Well,
You're,
I
you're,
think that,
you know, what
well,
you fear. shall come upon you, says the
I
Bible.
I agree, but I think it's the chicken or the egg. What I'm saying to you is that it wasn't that I was thinking relapse.
No,
It's
you are
that I
inseminate. You are the rooster inseminating your chicken, is what
hey,
you are doing.
that doesn't sound like something I want to try. That just doesn't sound right to me. Please take me off recording here. Not good.
And you're ejaculating repeats.
Oh my God, we're going the wrong direction.
Look, you're not good enough at stops to make your ESP work, period.
Okay. All right, I can see that.
So, look, there are two reasons why you'll never have a relapse if you follow this plan. Two reasons. The first one is stuttering always begins with one word, one syllable, one letter, one sound. When you know crutches 1 through 8, you can use most of them, 5 or 6 of the 8, and several of them on every single problem word. Because of that, there is no single word that you can't say from this second to the time you breathe your last breath on this planet. Now, you cannot use crutches 1 through 8 on every single word you speak. It would take you forever to talk. But there is no single word you have to say. Your name, your residence, your business, your wife's name, anything else, any single word. You can say them all. Once you start talking, after you've passed the first word, the second reason you'll never stutter is you have an ESP. And if you use it, you not only won't stutter, you can't. If you did nothing more than link your words successfully, even without using stops, even without talking less, you would never stutter again. The problem is when you talk in a continuum, it becomes more and more difficult to prevent hesitations, thinking a word, fearing it, and forcing it that fast. When you talk less, and when you use full stops, you ain't gonna have the problem. Period. Those are the two reasons, and that's what separates you now from the old Gary. Plus, Gary reads aloud. Gary does mind training. Gary, throughout the day, recites his own affirmations to contradict negative thinking about speech or anything else. There's no way, if you follow the plan, you're going to have a relapse. If you don't follow it, all bets are off.
All right.
And it's just a question of time, 3 months, 6 months, a year, I don't know, when all of this is going to vaporize like the dew on the morning grass. It's going to disappear. And none of what we've said is going to matter to you anymore. It's all going to be gone. And you'll still be doing mind training, hopefully, to improve your life, to keep you positive. So, young man, I think you're on the home stretch, in my opinion. But you know, so many people who stutter have so much difficulty admitting that they can beat it when they're beating it. You can beat it better. You can do better for sure. You can tighten up that ESP, but we should not have any more bad incidents, period. You've been 2 weeks. We should be, we should continue on this course. But having these thoughts of, well, I've always relapsed before, parentheses, I probably will now. No, no, you probably won't. I didn't. Rathusha didn't. Leah didn't. I got lots of others who didn't. Why should you? You gotta you gotta believe in your own. You either know how to say every word one way or another with one crutch or another, or you don't. And I know you do, and I know you do. The only question is, after you get past that first word, how do you finish the conversation? And now you've got an answer to that too. You're not fishing for crutches individually as words come up. Nonsense. And you mentioned the word softly earlier,
Hmm.
and I have to say that next to stops, softly is it depends on the person, is a close competitor for linking. I mean, it's when you lower your voice, it it gets so much easier, so much easier. Talking as close to a whisper as you can get. That'll help you a lot. Just like smiling. Well, smiling is so underrated. But
Right.
softly is even more important than smiling. Smiling's hugely important. But learning to do these things takes practice. You got to do it. And you got to do it all the time. And I suggest to you that you need to practice your ESP 24/7. You need to do it all the time until it's second nature. I mean, if you'll do this, you're gonna close this out. And let me tell you something. If you can go a month without a bad incident, you have proven to yourself you know how to avoid them. In the past, they come back. So many of the solutions are very, very narrow things. What in the, can you tell me before you met me or read my book, what was the best, the closest you ever got to beating it? And what did you do in that program or in that therapy that got you as far as it did? Can you remember which one was was there a standout? This was the best thing next to your book. Can you tell me?
Well, I did pretty well with the precision fluency shaping program, which is breathing, stretch syllable, and vibrational contour. So I did pretty well with that program, but eventually I slipped back. The other thing I wanted to mention to you that I did really well,
How much did the program cost?
oh, it cost, I don't know, $2,000,
Yeah,
something like that back then, I
yeah.
think.
And how long ago was that?
This was in the 90s, like 1990s, I don't know, 95,
Uh,
96. But then I want
so
to
the
mention,
the uh, the SAC program of for $200 taught by ex stutterers still has an advantage.
just a little. But the other thing I wanted to mention that really worked for me for a while was something that I came up with by myself. And this was when I was in college. And what I would do is stop thinking about how to say words and what I was going to say, and just almost put my attention in my brain, and just whatever I wanted to say, just say it,
And,
which
and, and
is
that, of course, I've written those exact words. Those are virtually my exact words in my book.
right. And that's crutch 13. But
Exactly.
I didn't know that, and
Yeah.
that worked for a while, and I was going, oh, this is the answer.
There are very few people who can make that work unless what? Unless they have crutches 1 through 8 mastered and can therefore knock over any individual word that's a problem. And secondly, have a plan to speak in short increments and shut their mouth before they get in trouble.
Well, it's too bad you did not call me when I was in college to tell me this. And then maybe I would have been much better off.
Exactly. Well, you would have been, but the good news is now, and you're not going back. And look, just because you went back in these other programs, look, if you can have, if you'd told me when I was 25 years old, hey Lee, if you'll do this, that, and the other thing, you'll never stutter on your name again. If you could have convinced me of that, I would have been 75% cured on the spot,
Right,
probably.
right.
Because if I can say my name, I can say your name, and I can say whatever else. I, you know, but I mean, that alone, there is no word that's going to stop you ever again unless you choose to do it.
Right.
You just give up. You quit. You surrender. You're playing a tennis match, and the way you lose is you retire. You don't play, and that's what you do. That's the only way you're going to lose now. So if you lose now, man, you're losing by your own hand. You're choosing to lose. I had a guy admit to me recently, he said, it may just be that I don't want to stop. And I said, why is that? And he said, because I know if I stop, I'm going to have to face the fact that I need to go to college and medical school to accomplish my objectives. And I've been putting it off for a couple of years already.
Wow.
That's what he recently told
Wow.
me. Now, I don't know what's going on in the back of your mind. I have no idea. But you got to stop thinking about relapses. What's past is past, man. Before there was penicillin, you'd have died of a lot of things. But we have penicillin. You're not going to die, period. So get over it. You're with a program that works for people by the hundreds. You are not that different from everybody else in this program. Your program is basically on the easier side of the spectrum than the harder. You're at most a 5. So, but your attitude about it, I mean, every time you think relapse, you should start laughing. You're not going to do that. You have methods now that you've never had before. You do not know your ESP well enough. That's clear. So you say, well, it's not really so bad because we just worked it out a couple of weeks ago. So that's true. So now, but you need to master that baby. And the stops is a discipline. But every time you stop, all pressure goes away. And you continue. You can always say 1 to 5 words. You know you can. Anywhere, anytime. You know you can. You can always do that. And what you did before Crutch 13, that's another tool. Anytime you think you may get stuck, just use Crutch 13. Say anything but what you're thinking. But do it in 1 to 5 words. increments.
Right. Right.
And speak softly. Speak softly. Take it easy. There's no spotlight on you. No one's grading you. If they were, they don't care about your speech. They want to know what you have to say. They could care less about your boo-boos. They don't care. They forget them that fast. So why should you remember them? No point.
Gotcha.
No point.
Gotcha.
No point. So your assignment this week is get serious with your ESP.
Mm-hmm.
By next week, I want you to tell me, Coach, I went a whole week and I used my ESP every time I talked. For the whole week, I've got it down cold.
I've been seeing you once every 2 weeks now, so
Okay.
let's do it for 2 weeks
Okay.
from now.
let me let me
Don't push me into a week there.
I need the time off anyway.
Good.
I mean I can only stand so much of you.
Listen, you know my life.
I mean, it's like the rabbit said to the skunk, I've had about all the pleasure I can stand. Had you heard that one?
No, I have not.
Well, you see, you can
So,
still learn something from me.
well, I plan to.
You're doing great, and nobody that I
You
know would think
listen.
you ever had a speech problem in your life. So you're faking it really well. You're going to go out fluent as a jaybird or a magpie or a parrot.
Uh, a magpie. I like the magpie. Yeah. So,
All right. Well, I'm going to let you go because I got
all
another
right.
call. Take care. Have a wonderful 2 weeks. I'll see you at Sam probably.
Yep. See you at Sam.
Do your
All right.
homework.
I will do my homework.
All right. I'm watching you. Just remember that. I'm watching
I
you.
know. You have your eyes on me.
That's
I
it.
know.
All right. Take care. Bye
All
bye.
right. Take care.